Hey everybody, it is Qqcknd and welcome back to 5 Fact Friday, our user submitted weekly Q&A that honestly made this channel what it is today. Thank you guys for always watching and submitting. I think 5 Fact Friday has been getting a lot of traction lately and it's super exciting because this is where my heart is. John is in the room with us. Hey baby.
What's up?
Say something about yourself. Great. So I have some questions here today written in my little notebook and we'll get started. Feel free to chime in, I guess, John, if you want to. So first thing on here, so John and I are actually going to the Poconos this weekend for 4th of July. That's how we're celebrating, I guess, but we will be back in the city by 4th of July. For the last couple years, John and I have celebrated by going in this abandoned building that is so many stories high. How many stories?
I think 11 or 12.
So this 11 or 12 story high building that was easily accessible to urbexers, how dare I. So we would go on the roof of there and it was always like pretty cool, a pretty good view of everything. In Philadelphia on 4th of July, everybody all of a sudden is a firework technician. So you would see a ton of fireworks from up there. Wawa has a big firework like demonstration at like 11 or 12 on 4th of July. That is every year in the Parkway. But from this 11 or 12 story building, you could see fireworks from neighborhoods, you could see fireworks from New Jersey, you could see fireworks from the river. It was so cool to be up there, and since last 4th of July, that building has been bought by developers, so we can't go up there anymore. I don't really know what we're gonna do. 5 or 6 years ago, my old roommate and I went to the Parkway. The Wawa presents fireworks. And there were so many people there that cell phone service didn't work. I mean, my cell phone back then was like this big. It made us so nervous that I was like, let's leave. And then on our way home, we ended up climbing a statue, and that's how we watched the fireworks. I'm an old woman now though, so I'm not going to climb any statues. I don't even know how I did it, because this statue is actually on a bridge that is over the Schuylkill River. So if we would have fell, or my phone would have dropped, we would have fell in the river and died. So I won't do that again. So I'm really looking forward to see how we figure out how to watch fireworks. But we're going to the Poconos with my grandparents for Saturday and Sunday, which I'm super excited about. The last time we went to the Poconos was the first time I had this camera. I have a Pocono vlog, which is like one of the first vlogs I ever made with this camera. I can leave a link. I took some really cool photos. I took this photo of John and my grandparents in this like local pizzeria. It was so cool. So many good feelings. So I'm really excited for that. John and I are gonna bring our running shoes. I'm gonna bring a book. I think like just defusing, getting out of the city, going somewhere where my cell phone doesn't really work is gonna be really cool, and I'm really looking forward to it. I saw this comic the other day. I reblogged it on my Tumblr, where it's like a little person, and it says like, back before cell phones, we could only get exposed to a couple like sad or like bad news like a few times a day. But now that we're on our cell phones, we can look and see bad news constantly. And as someone who like does social media all the time, not only am I exposed to all the news and all the politics that are going on right now, but I'm also exposed to people like talking shit on me all the time and all this stuff. And sometimes I reply because I'm like, maybe this person like didn't mean harm, but then sometimes really obviously they meant harm. So if I can just like get away from it all, I think that'll be healthy for me. I feel like in the last couple days I have not been reaching for my cell phone very often, and although in popular culture I feel like that is a rewarded thing, like, oh, unplug, stay off your phone, like go 2 hours without using your phone, oh, go out to eat with your friends and whoever touches their phone first has to pay. Like, I'm not really all about that life. I use my phone a lot, and it's not just because I don't want to be part of this world, but because you guys are on there and I want to be able to communicate with you guys, answer questions, and direct you towards maybe videos where I've already answered questions that you have, things like that. I like to stay connected with you guys as well. I feel like I let you down if I can't answer your questions. So this weekend, if you snap me, I might not answer. So, my next question, which was from Snapchat. How often do you get tattooed? I would say a couple times a year. It used to be I would get tattooed whenever my favorite artists would come into my area. And sometimes my favorite artists live in New York, which I consider my area, so going to visit them was cool. When Jessie Preston comes to this area, I want to get tattooed by her. When Qcknd travels, I like to go to places where I can get tattooed by him. And I am going to keep that alive, and I think I will always get tattooed by those two artists, no matter what, forever. When they get into this area, Qcknd is from Richmond, so obviously I could go there, but a couple times a year he comes around here and I'll always grab an appointment by him, my fave. Same with Jessie Preston. Other than that, it used to be whenever I had money, so whenever I got my tax refund, I usually got tattooed around that time. And now I'm getting tattooed kind of on Mark's schedule. Mark is the tattoo artist who's doing my back piece. Usually I get tattooed by his recommendation. I'm eager to get my tattoo finished, but it is also painful to me, and I also can't go swimming and do other summer activities with a fresh tattoo, so I'm kind of dragging my feet on that one. I would say I get tattooed like 5 times a year. That sounds about right. There was one month where I got tattooed like 3 times, and John told me to pump the brakes, and it was the only time I was going to get tattooed by Amanda Grace, so. But he was right. I was getting tattooed a lot, and I didn't want to like get sick or something.
You were just beating yourself up.
I know, but I wanted to get tattooed by her. Have you seen her pine cones? So I get a ton of questions about my Patreon, and I really want to talk about it. First of all, I want to apologize to everybody who follows me on Patreon who has had some confusion or whatever. I want to say that I created a Patreon from like user recommendation and things in my comments, and I was eager to start one without totally understanding the website. Not to talk shit on Patreon, because I think that they are doing something that that gives creators a lot of possibilities. But for me, it was really hard to find addresses and stuff for the people on my Patreon. And because I don't like have a ton of like online specific content to offer people, or like digital content, I mean, obviously I have a ton of digital content, but I want that to be available for everybody and not just like my Patreon subscribers. So I wanted to host like giveaways and stuff, but there was a lot of problems with addresses, and some people would use fictitious names, some addresses were incomplete, some area codes were wrong, and when I would get like printouts of all the addresses and stuff from Patreon, it wasn't like really fluid and easy to read, and because of that, I feel like it was unfair to everybody on there, who would, sometimes people would receive fan mail and stuff and some people couldn't, and the messaging system on there was kind of weird too. And then there was different stuff with like international people, and I would view other people's Patreons to see how they would have things figured out, and they offered a lot of digital stuff, which I guess I should have done from the beginning. But now my after looking into like YouTube being my job and everything like that, because my YouTube doesn't create like a ton of income or whatever, that's like kind of its own thing. But because Patreon is considered a job, if somebody donates to your Patreon, I was sent tax information and my Patreon is taxed twice. If you're taxed not twice, but you're taxed as the employer and the employee, it just seemed like it was being really wasteful, especially because Patreon also charges a fee and then PayPal charges a fee. I guess people who use Patreon that collect thousands of dollars, like, it becomes worth it. But for you guys, every time you would donate, so much of your money was just given to other people in different places that I was like, okay, this website's really confusing to use. There's a lot of error, and navigating the website is challenging. Maybe just to me, but challenging. And then I was being taxed as an employer and an employee, and then also being charged different fees from Patreon and PayPal. So I deleted it. I think the best way, if you want to contribute to my channel, I guess would just be to watch it, watch my videos, share the videos with your friends and family, subscribe, put the videos on your Tumblr or something, I don't know. I have a PayPal, but I don't want to ask people to use it, and there's also a contribution button somewhere on YouTube, and it charges way less fees than Patreon ever did. I think it charges 10 cents a dollar, which seems like a lot, I guess, if you donate, like, or it's 10 cents a donation, something like that. Don't use it, I don't know. At 100,000 subscribers, I am going to start offering merch. I'm going to sell the merch, like, pretty much at cost, so you guys can afford it, but I would say that's a good way to help the channel, I guess, too. Watching the videos is the best way to help, though. For all you guys who recommended Patreon to me, I'm really grateful. It was a cool ride, I guess, because I felt like all of us were really connecting, and I would get messages from people that were like, I'm more than happy to help, I love your stuff, and I'm super stoked on that, but also disappointed that, like, more than half of those people's contributions didn't go to me directly. And it's not like my goal was really high on there anyway. And I can also, like, still count YouTube as a hobby, so the fact that Patreon was considered a job was just, like, kind of weird. So no more Patreon. If you're wondering where it went, it's gone. If you haven't received any of your things from Patreon, before I had it disabled, I emailed, like, the administrator, and I got a printout of every single person who has ever contributed anything and whatever their address would have been when it was last posted. If you feel like your address may have been incorrect on your Patreon, I have all of your user information, so I can also email you if there is a problem. Expect your stuff in the mail. That's done. Patreon's over. If you follow anyone or follow anyone on Patreon who's really successful at that, bless them, because I couldn't dedicate that much time to learning their software and creating good content and learning how to be a hairdresser. I don't know. Also, like, not to, like, talk shit on the government or whatever, but that was a lot of taxes. So, anyway, where would you want to work if you did not work in hair/beauty? So, I always have this confliction that I wish I could dedicate more time to my YouTube channel and do that. And I also have always wished that I could write professionally. Obviously, that is kind of just like a fantasy. Becoming a successful writer is definitely 100% challenging and not something I ever found success with. That would be more of like a fantastical, like, if you could be anything, what would you be? A YouTuber. But I would definitely love to do that. I would love to, like, blog professionally. One of my favorite bloggers, the Dainty Squid, I always thought she was super cool and inspiring, and, like, she just lives somewhere, I feel like, in the woods, and is just a professional blogger. And I used to read her blog all the time, and I love the way it's set up. It does not feel like an advertisement at all. It just feels like good old quality content, and I would love to be a blogger for life. If I had to work, like, a 9 to 5, I think that I've always been like a very scrappy kind of person when it comes to getting a job, and I've always seemed to find one pretty easily. Being a barista has always been super cool. I love baristas. I loved being a barista. Working in a kitchen has always been super cool. There is this new vegan diner in South Philly, and whenever we go, every time we go, I'm like, I just fucking wish I worked here. Like, fuck a beauty school. Like, can I work here? I would love to do stuff with like social media for like developing brands or like developing restaurants like the Tasty. I was telling Josie from work the other day that I wish I could just email the Tasty and be like, do you need someone to take photos for you for free? Because I'll do it. So I would love to do stuff like that. I have a hard time working customer service, so if I could like stray from that forever, I would love to do that. I don't really know what job that would be though, because all jobs I feel like service one another, and some of us are dicks and go to stores and are aggressive. I had this weird idea, well I guess it's beauty, but that I would work in a nail salon and just be really quiet and serve people who yell at you, but I don't know. Do you ever like get a manicure pedicure and feel really bad the whole time? I do.
Oh yeah.
Oh my god, right? Like I
felt terrible when you gave me one.
Yeah, John came to school to do like my manicure pedicure requirement, and he ended up getting 2 separate pedicures. I just feel so bad. Not giving them is whatever. Like, I feel like I'm curing people.
There was no cure for the shit I had in my shoes.
Ew. But, like, as a stylist or, like, as somebody who is standing on their feet all the time, they recommend, like, get a pedicure, take care of your feet, take care of your feet, take care of your feet. But then, when I was like, okay, I'll get a pedicure then, I'll take care of my feet. I went last week and I was like, you know, I just want to sit in the massage chair. I just want to have this and that. And I felt so fucking bad for that lady the whole time. I wanted to be like, I'll give you a haircut. I don't know. I felt so bad. Oops. But yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna make a zine one day. And we'll see where that goes. You know what I'm talking about. One day I'll make it. Maybe the right people will see it and they'll be like, hey, do you want to be published? Oh, I can't read this. Major in college. So somebody sent me a snap and asked what my major in college used to be. I didn't want to be like, I've answered this. But I guess I have, but I feel like there's a lot of 5 Fact Fridays that all go in different directions talking about like my college experience. Spoiler alert, I dropped out like 4 different times. And who knows, maybe I'll go back to college to pursue my writing career. I was going to go back to community to learn how to use Adobe Premiere, but the class had a prerequisite and I was like, oh my god, we can't do this again. Then I taught myself. I'm no Mikey, but I can put title cards on my videos now. And I learned a little green screen.
I remember when you were fucking with green screen.
Wasn't that cool? I should still get one. I should make an Amazon wish list and send it to the people I shampoo.
When you're done, you want to play Wario Smooth Moves?
Are you serious? Do you want to play Wario Smooth Moves?
Yeah.
We should play Kirby Crystal Shards minigames. I'm telling you.
I want to get some more Smooth Moves in.
I want to play Wario Smooth Moves, and I want to eat Chinese food, and I want to turn the AC on. My major in college was communications. And I'm really excited that today I'm talking to a camera in a room right now, and that is kind of like communications. But
you got closer than I feel like anybody else in your class did.
So here's the thing about communications, and I've probably said this in a video before. In my hometown, there was a kid like 2 years older than me, and he was in the communications program at Temple that I wanted to be in. I was at community doing Temple classes because they like let you do that, and it's really fucking cool if you can't afford to go to Temple or you don't want to go over there. The kid from my hometown graduated with his communications degree, and he told me that it meant nothing and that he didn't have anything that he didn't have before going to Temple. And it sucks because I would walk through Temple campus, they have a whole communications building, everything is so cool. I took acting classes at Community for my major, and I always really liked them. I got like a straight up A in social media. I always thought it was super cool. For one of my social media projects, I created a Tumblr, and it was fucking awesome. I taught everyone in my class how to use Tumblr. Like, you can just imagine that that's what I'm fucking into. And it was awesome. And I would stay after, I would talk to my professors. It was just something I really honestly enjoyed. But when I lived in West Philly, all of my roommates were academic people who had never found success. And my one roommate was a theology major, and I think he was working towards his doctorate. Is that how you say it? My other roommate was an English major. What?
Are you sure it wasn't a master's?
He had his master's.
Isn't it master's after a doctorate?
I think master's is before doctor. You can be a master, but you ain't no doctor. Right? People?
I don't know.
He had his master's.
You have more school than I do.
You are having more school time. Well, I don't know.
You and your fancy book learning and all that shit.
I've literally dropped out of college every time. Every time I went to college, I dropped out.
I dropped out of more shit than you.
Stop it. I will drop out of this relationship. I know.
This screwdriver's fucked.
Stop it. So all of my roommates, I feel like, were really academic people. And they were all really happy people doing their own thing. My old roommate and I worked at the kayak rental every summer. And at the kayak rental, there was a geologist who worked there. And he was just someone who didn't really find success in his educated field. I'm not out here saying that people don't. I'm not out here promoting that you should drop out of college like me. I think that I am a scrappy person, and honestly, I couldn't afford to stay in college much longer anyway. If I would have, I think I would have put myself in like some serious financial restraints. Not to say I wasn't in them. Anyway, my last semester at college, I felt like I was really just there for no reason. I felt like I wasn't going to find success when I graduated. My resume was already pretty fake to begin with. So...
Tell them about the orphan shit.
Oh, I don't know. The second college I went to, I was on financial aid, and I filed as independent because I didn't live with my parents, but when I filed that paperwork, they thought that I was a ward of the state, not living on my own, and they let me go there for 3 semesters without, like, telling me to have a conversation with them. So they were like, oh, since you are not an orphan, you have to pay all that money back. And I was like, oh, but I do live independently. And they were like, yeah, different thing. So I had to pay back all that money, and they said, they were like, do you have like someone you could borrow that money from? And I was like, oh my god, are you serious? Do you not see my McDonald's uniform on me? So they told me that I could just not count the credits and count it even. So that was the time I went to school for like a year and a half, and it didn't count. But then I got to take acting twice. That was cool. That's my favorite class. And I failed Brit Lit so hard that I was like, keep those credits. Anyway, this is my Back Friday. We're gonna have to edit this one down a lot. It is very long. John and I are gonna get something to eat without glass in it, and then we're gonna play Wario Smooth Moves.
Chill.
I didn't say! I love you guys, and until next time, I have a video coming out for you guys tomorrow because I know what it's like to not celebrate any of these major holidays and stay inside on the computer. So you will have that for you, a very special pre-Tuesday Tattoo Talk Tuesday, while John and I are in the Pennsylvania wilderness. Check out our previous Pocono videos if you are from somewhere else and don't understand why it's a thing. And I love you guys. Until next week. Bye. Hey everybody, it is Qqcknd and welcome back to 5 Fact Friday. I know it has been a while since 5 Fact Friday. I asked for submissions